Good evening, everyone. I'm Carol McNeil, and for the next half hour, we're going to bring you a comprehensive overview of how the election results turned out this evening in the city of Toronto. I am at the Capitol Event Theatre. It is where Mel Lastman's campaign party, as you can see behind me, is still going on, and that's because it was a big victory party, and a big victory. It was hundreds of thousands of votes against, over Tucker Gomberg, the person who came in second place. By the way, you can see in the bottom of the screen, we're showing you the results. All the results are final now, so those are the winners that you'll be seeing going across the screen, and we'll be running them over the screen throughout the broadcast. Now, as I was saying, Mel Lastman is in for another 3 years, and tonight, here's what he had to say at the podium about that.
Thank you, Toronto! If you thought the last 3 years were exciting, look out, world! Here comes Toronto! We are about to make the greatest city in the world even greater. Gee, is my voice shaking that microphone? 3 years ago, we set out on a mission to make our new city of Toronto for everyone. Not everyone believed us. Some said it couldn't be done. But we never wavered. The voters believed us. With your support, we delivered a tax freeze for the first 3 years. We improved services. We cared for our less fortunate, and we pulled 6 cities, 7 governments, and made them into one, and it shocked everyone. It worked. Ladies and gentlemen, the cranes are back in our city and in our downtown core. Our economy is booming, and our and what you see now is nothing. The best is yet to come. Toronto feels great about itself. Toronto has the momentum and the spirit to be the first city of the 21st century. Today, with the people's vote of confidence, we have an even more challenging task. Risk task. If we do, I'm all screwed up, don't mind me. If we do our job right, which we will, this will be an incredible city of clean air, safe streets, strong neighborhoods, a booming economy, and a quality of life envied around the world. I want to thank every citizen of Toronto who went out and voted today. Being mayor of Toronto is the greatest job in the world, and I am truly humbled by your confidence in me. I want to congratulate the successful candidates. I look forward to working with many of you. I couldn't say it the way I was supposed to say it. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But I will get along with all of them. This next 3 years are going to be wonderful years, and they're going to be great years for this great city. So, Toronto, get ready for the most exciting 3 years in the history of this city.
An excerpt from Mel Lastman's speech earlier this evening as he was declaring victory. The votes declared in victory, a huge margin. It was a landslide. He mentioned there that he looked forward to working with many of the councillors. That's because there were a few changes and a couple of endorsements that he made that he didn't get tonight. I asked him about that, among other things, considering it's election night and it's his victory party. A little later on, a little earlier than this, here's how that interview went. How does the new council look to you?
Oh, it looks great. It looks good. Yeah, it's a good council, and we're going to do well. Yeah, it could have been a little better maybe, or a little different. Not better, different.
I got
Different how?
I got to work with all these people, and I'm going to work with them. You know, I'll work with anybody who has Toronto first, and Toronto's got to come first. And I know I'll be able to work with all the members of council.
The fact that Rob Davis, Bill Sondercook didn't get in, how do you think that's going to impact council?
Well, it's going to hurt. We're going to miss them. They're good members of council. They made a great contribution, and I want to wish them well, and I know they'll be back.
Now, in terms of when you have more people who are described as left-leaning than you had before, who are perhaps more right-leaning, what will that do to your ability to get, as you say, the work done?
Who said there's more left-leaning? I don't think there is any more. Really, it looks like a great mix, and I'm pleased with the mix.
You've said your number one focus is recycling.
Yes, we will come. Well, I don't know if it's number one. I can't say it's number one, but I want to come in ahead of schedule, ahead of council's target. The council's target is 60% or 50% by 2006. I want to be ahead of that, and 100% by 2010. And I want to find the right equipment to handle council's Toronto's garbage. And I think we will. Edmonton's, I know, isn't the right one. They have 30% residue, and that's too high. If we have 30% residue on 1.5 million tons, that gives us 450,000 tons that we have to put into a landfill. Well, we've got to do better than that.
What about property taxes?
I don't know. It all depends on harmonization. It's not in our hands. You know, when we came one city, it took the union over a year to get together. Just in '99 they got together, and they met with us at the end of '99, and they all want the top. They all want to get the highest in every category. Well, we can't give everybody the highest. That's hundreds of millions of dollars. We have 45,000 employees. Well, how do you give everybody the top? And if an arbitrator does that to us, then it's the worst thing that could possibly happen to a city, because we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that it could cost the city of Toronto.
You won by a landslide tonight, so how should we benchmark your progress over the next 3 years? If at the end of 3 years you've done what, we shall call you a success.
Well, the waterfront gets started, which I'm sure it will. We'll win the Olympics, which I'm sure we will. You know, Toronto is the place. Toronto is where it's all happening, and we're looking after the homeless. We have the province who provided 500 units this year for the mentally ill, another 500 next year. We have the federal government that provided us with $780 million last year, or our share of $780 million for Canada, and we'll get our share of that. Then there'll be another $680 million for Canada for units to be built for homeless, and the provinces will have to share in that, and that'll provide 20 to 60,000 units for homeless. And there's enough beds. We've added 625 beds. There's enough beds for everybody who wants a bed to sleep in, if they don't want to sleep in the streets. I hope Tucker's still not chained to the toilet at Princess Margaret. If he is, somebody help him.
Mel Lastman, thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. All of that.
Mel Lastman and his entourage and some supporters. We are at his campaign party headquarters tonight at the Capitol Event Theatre. He was talking about Tucker Gomberg. He was the closest competitor to Mel Lastman with 51,000 plus. Mel Lastman with 483,000 plus. Tucker Gomberg had this to say just before the polls closed tonight.
The choice is I could sit down and have a coffee, or I can be out here talking with the public. So, you know, I'm spending the last 10 minutes kind of in a spirit of I don't know, a spirit of hope and a spirit of commitment that people will hear that there's an alternative and that they'll support it.
Robin Smythe is covering Mel Lastman's campaign party here tonight along with me. She's here in the crowd somewhere. Robin, I'm not exactly sure where you're at.
Not only difficult to see me, but difficult to hear. The party's still going on and the music is loud. It certainly was a win.
Yeah, it certainly was. Now, it was, as I said, a major landslide for Mel Lastman, but two of the people that he endorsed did not get in tonight. There's a different council than he had hoped for, and he alluded to that in the interview. What is the message that has been sent here by the voters?
I think the message is that this is a man who really defined the role of megacity mayor. He was the first mayor to be the mayor of the megacity, and he's defined that role. However, there are a couple of messages here. Because Gomberg got a number of the votes, more than some people might have predicted, that's a message that not everyone shares the mayor's vision. We can also look at the fact that those councillors he endorsed, not all of them won. So I think it's a more challenging council, a council that's not as easy to control that the mayor faces, and this is at a time when there are a lot of important issues facing the city. He talked a little bit about the waterfront development, about the Olympic bid, but we also have to talk about the possibility of a tax hike. The garbage issue will certainly be revisited, and all of these issues will be more difficult to get at with a council that is not all on the same side. Back to you, Carol.
All right, Robin, thank you so much. City Council could be interesting in the years to come. John Northcott is our Urban Municipal Affairs reporter, and he joins me now from City Hall. Good evening, John.
Hi, Carol. You can probably hear, if you listen very carefully, the gentle whir of the floor polisher. They have gone home. It's business as usual, quick and dirty. Everything worked. And they've wrapped up here at City Hall. So that explains why there's nothing going on behind me here, which means there were no problems, and there's going to be probably no disputed votes coming in here tonight. But 2 losses, 2 people that the mayor selected as part of what he called his slate, and 2 people that perhaps lost because of the Adams mine. We're talking about Ward 13, first up, where David Miller won. He was opposed to the Adams mine, sending the garbage there. Bill Sondercook, the Works Committee chair, he in favor of that plan. Miller won by a large margin. Here's what he had to say tonight. Okay. Apparently we don't have that tape from David Miller. And the other race that we went to was in Ward 21 was Joe Mihevc against Rob Davis. Again, the same thing. Mihevc opposed to the Adams mine, Davis in favor of it. Funnily enough, though, up in Kirkland Lake, Bill Inouye, the councillor who was in favor of the garbage going there, he has won as mayor. Richard Denton, the mayor who had opposed his own council and came down here to tell Toronto voters that he has lost. However, as we found out during the Adams mine debate, a lot of that was over the region surrounding the mine, not so much Kirkland Lake. However, Bill Inouye, as the new mayor, has said that Kirkland Lake is open for business. At the same time, he admits that the Kirkland Lake garbage deal is probably not going to return anytime soon. Carol?
We'll try to get that tape from David Miller a little later on. Thank you so much for this.
Okay.
Mike Wise is covering the Case Oates campaign tonight, and that's where he's at. Mike, good evening to you.
Good evening, Carol. That's actually here at the headquarters for Case Oates, and they were certainly celebrating earlier tonight. He won handedly. His main competition in Ward 29 here, Broadview Greenwood, was the former chair of the Toronto District School Board, Gail Nyberg. Oates won with the 53.6% of the votes here versus Nyberg's 30.72%. We talk about control of the new city council, and certainly in the old city council, Case Oates was the deputy mayor, quite instrumental in helping Mel Lastman maintain control of the old council. He's not sure if he'll have that new job with the new configured council, but certainly something he's interested in, and certainly someone Mel Lastman will be looking for as an ally to help maintain some control and influence over the new council. Now, when he was speaking with his supporters here, he was certainly thanking them for the job they did, and he also took the time in his acceptance speech to outline some of the issues he thinks will be facing the new council.
But we have many challenges before us. We have to keep the lid on taxes. There are many of our citizens on fixed income. There are many small businesses that simply can't afford an increase in taxes. And as a council, we will have to work with our staff and our unions to find ways to deliver services more efficiently. We have to solve the homeless problem. And the last few weeks have shown that we have to place more emphasis on recycling and composting. We have to keep our city safe and clean.
I went on to also talk about the need to do something about downtown traffic congestion, calling for increased funding for the TTC and GO Transit. And interestingly enough, wants to see that happen through the Greater Toronto Services Board, using the political will of the 5 million people or so it represents to try to gain some control over gasoline taxes and reinvest them in transit. Now, across town, though, his main component, just a few blocks away, actually, Gail Nyberg, accepted her defeat, saying she accepted the will of the voters tonight, but not before complaining about some of the tactics she accuses the Otis camp of using against her, specifically a flyer distributed with her campaign office number on it, but something quite critical of her track record.
We certainly paid had rumors of nasty telephone calls and coming out of phone banking and things like that. That's been printed in the paper. Last night there was a very manipulative piece of literature dropped across the word. My team happened to run into the people delivering it. They challenged them and said, you know, why are you doing this? What are you doing? They made a phone call. The person who come to pick up the people who was driving was someone who is known to us to be affiliated with Mr. Otis's campaign.
And she says one of her campaign workers was threatened there. She's reported the incident to 54 Division, but says that's all she's going to do with it and leave it at that point. She's accepted the verdict here. Now, without the Toronto District School Board job to return to, nor a council seat here, she's not sure what she's going to be doing in the future. All that she'll say is she's looking forward tonight to going home and having a sleep. Now, Carol, from Ward 29, Broadview Greenwood, that's a look at what happened here tonight.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. We are going to take a break here. We are live at the campaign party headquarters of Mel Lastman tonight at the Capitol Event Theater. Just a reminder, across the bottom of the screen at all times, except for this moment, you will see the election results. So keep tuned here. If you missed your ward, it will undoubtedly come along again. We'll be right back.